Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie. A little bit late tonight. I was on another chat and talking to them. So I'm going to go ahead and put up the pin the link to come on in. Hey, you doing, Ed and James? And we got Michael and we got Shane. And let me get things set up here. Let's see. And there we are. All right, it's pinned. Anybody can come in. Hey, Tim, Hannah. Hey, Greg. Honeybee Compound. What's happening? DC. So, well, it was a beautiful day today. It was close to 70 degrees, low humidity. Bees were flying. I finished up feeding my bees, I'll say the beginning of this week. And I had about about 3 or 4 gallons left in my tank. I went ahead and topped that off or got it into the hive so they can take it down. And then I brought my sugar making machine, washed it out, put it in the basement, took the 40-gallon tank out of my truck. It had a little bit of syrup in there. And of course, I let it spill out onto the blacktop on the driveway. And there happened to be like a little seam. And I seen today the bees were right on that seam of the blacktop, trying to get as much syrup out of that little crack there was. That was kind of funny to watch and all that. And so that's been washed and cleaned and put away. And I actually pumped about 20 gallons of water through the pump to clean the pump out so there wouldn't be any sugar water residue on the diaphragm of that diaphragm pump. And so did all that and put it away for the year. And got that done. I guess it'll take them several weeks a week and a half or so. Honeybee. Yeah, well, I'll put that up. Far ahead of you're killing me. Yeah, well, it's supposed to, tomorrow. They're saying it's supposed to rain and rain over the weekend, more or less, and then get into the 60s and down into the 50s all of next week. Hey, Morgan. And so I wanted to kind of get ahead of that. Hey, Laura, I just jumped off from Chester. They were talking about putting bananas in the hive so that gives the bees potassium. And I'm like, really? But anyway, I tried to tell them about Apis biologic and they didn't quite believe about that. I'm like, well, what can I say? But yeah. And yeah, I'm solo tonight. Anybody wants to come on in? It's hard to sit here and talk to everybody about it. Hey, Dan, how's everything up in Canada there? And Shane, of course, he's up in Canada also. Got 2 Canadians here tonight. And they were also on the other chat talking about Hive Alive, which they were comparing notes about essential oils and things of that nature. Hey, Randy from Tar Heel. And Tytrone. And there comes Philip. He's driving down the road. Let me answer a couple questions here. Laura wants to know what Apis biologic is. Not biological, but a biologic. It's what Ian Sepper puts in his feed. It makes the hives. Personally, I think what it does is it takes is like I told the other chat, sugar water. Your bees can survive, and when you put Apis in there, it thrive. They can thrive off of that. It turns to me the best way to explain it is it turns your sugar water into nectar. It gives it all the properties what nectar has, is the way I understand it. And I've found a huge difference in brood population or hey Ed, bee population brooding in the spring, especially in the spring. And now Bob Benny puts on his hives. He was putting on, he had those sick hives, and it was Super FMD, I think it's called. And you know that anything about it, Ed? It's
Super
super.
FFD. I thought that was a like an antibiotic treatment.
Well, they do have an antibiotic treatment for pesticide poisoning, but super is it Super DFM?
DFM is what I've heard.
Huh?
DFM.
Yeah, I know. Let me look at my catalogs here. Um, might have it here in Aberdeen. Here we go. Yeah, I think it's called Super DFM. Um, I read up on the I don't know why my camera's going goofy on me. I read up on it a little bit. The one I looked at where it's made by these ladies who are scientists. I'm going to say that they were in the agricultural feed, i.e., cattle and stuff like that, and they applied the same science behind it. And like I say, they have different products. Some of it's just for natural whatever, and then there's one I did see where it it's for pesticide poisoning type of stuff to try to, I guess, cleanse the bee and all that. But anyway, that's what Bob Benning has. That's what I believe he was putting in his hives, especially that last video that he had where they were sick and all that stuff. And Super Bee. I don't see it listed in the American Bee Journal. But anyway, um, I think that's what he was using.
I think Better Bee sells it from where because a sponsor for a podcast I listen to is got Better Bee, and they talk about super microbial from time to time. The DFM.
It's a microbial.
What was that? Uh,
It's a microbial. It's not an antimicrobial. It's a microbial. That's what I've heard.
right. Better
It's
be. Let me see what.
gut bacteria or something that helps the bees. Microbes.
Right.
That's that powder they dust on there, right? Bob Denny uses it. Ian uses it.
Yeah, microbial supplement. It's yeah, Super DFM, and that's yeah, you're right. It's a microbial supplement. You're supposed to apply it during the fall and the winter for um. Let's see. Here it is. Provides beneficial, healthy bacteria to the bee's digestive tract, stimulating bee health, digestion, and more. This, okay, it provides 10 applications. Strong colony health, strong immunity, improved nutritional digestibility, safe enduring honey flow, cannot be overused, non-toxic, does not end up in the honey, affects nurse bees' performance, positively affects nurse bees' performance. Supposed to feed it about every 60 days, I think is what it says here. But anyway, you know, uh, that's what it is, Laura. That's what Bob does. And Mark says it's best used after cleaning the gut and all that. But yeah, now Shane says Bob stated he just started using it and his friends swore by it. I know I heard that on his video. Hey, Donnie. Expensive, Flora? I don't know. I never really looked at it. Let's see. 100-gram pack provides 10 applications of the probiotic for use in your hive, and it's $24. Now, I do know they make other products besides this one. There is one specifically for pesticide poisoning type stuff. Now it's $24, you know, or it better be. That's where it's located at. But like I say, I've never tried it, never used it. So what are you doing, Phil? Going towards the farm where the bees are?
Yeah, I am. I got a late start though, so and I'm also pulling my pop-up camper down there just to store it. But so yeah, I got a late start. I thought it was down a little bit this late,
Yeah.
but it's still pretty heavy.
Well, being is it out in the middle of nowhere, I guess you would say your pop-up camper would be stored at, or what?
Yeah, it is. I tried to sell it. It didn't sell, so I'm just moving it down there. I don't know what I'm going to end up doing with it. But
Shoot, anywhere in Texas in the middle of nowhere. I lived there
Well, I don't know.
20
I guess
years.
what I'm saying is around here, you know, you got to watch about things getting stolen. You know, if you leave it out in the middle, oh, that's pretty. Where's that at? Where are you at? Houston or something or what?
I'm driving toward downtown Dallas.
What is it?
You're going
Dallas.
up 35.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that scenery too many times.
Yeah, but what town is it, Ed? I can't understand him.
Dallas.
Dallas, Texas. All right. Okay.
I used to live in a little town of Georgetown, right outside of Austin.
Right.
Well, it may not be so little anymore, but
Hey, Stuffy. Yeah. So how is your bees doing, Ed? What's up with your bees?
well, I mean, they're doing all right. Just one hive reacted strange last week when I put the Apitab in it.
Oh yeah.
They acted like they wanted to abscond and went right back to the box. And then I started noticing a bunch of them dead on the doorstep the next day. So I got to check them to see where they're at, what's going on with them. But only one had a negative response to it. You know.
Well, is this a 10 frame hive or what is it?
Oh, it's a 10 frame. I have a super on top for just letting them store their food for the winter, some of the food for the winter. So this is basically a 10 frame hive with a single on top. or shallow or medium. I mean, but it was strange because they come at me. They were a little aggressive when I went in. They were bumping me. Then when I put that tab in there, they wanted nothing to do with me. I was on a live. I went and got on a live right after I saw a big old swarm above my house, about above my carport here.
Mhm.
I was like, holy crap, you know. And I said, let me grab the video. And by the time I got the camera going, they had already gone back to the hive, and we're all over the outside of it. And
Now,
it won't.
was the swarm there after you put the tab in, or did you?
It was
I guess
after.
what I'm saying, were they already up there when you put the tab in? You know?
No, it was afterwards because they came at me after I put the tab in. They started coming at me, so I got away from them. And when I turned back around and looked over the house, there's a cloud over the top of the house, and then went back to the box.
Sounds
So
like they were already on. Sounds like they already had that in mind.
well, you know,
Happened that quick.
but I wouldn't think that they would try to swarm this time of year though, because of
I had one do that. I had one do that last year.
I don't know. I mean, what's your weather like, Ed?
um, well, it's starting to get cool. It's getting cooler. I've noticed a decline in drones in the hives. I've seen some of them pulling up drones out. Like on my
Right.
nukes, they've already started pulling the drones out. But the numbers of drones have gone down. I haven't seen any evidence of any queen cups or anything like that in any of them. I just checked it before I put the tablet in. Maybe just too much at one time, because I opened them up, looked at them, and then slid the tablet on the bottom board.
So you put it on the bottom board, not inside on top of the frames.
I did try on top of the frames, but there wasn't enough space for everything to sit.
Mhm.
So
Well, what
I so
kind
I
of a
stuck
mite
it.
load? You know what kind of a mite load maybe you're having?
Well, last time I checked them, they had some. I think it was around 7 on that hive out of
Hmm.
300. And
That's
so it was high. And I've been treating them with OA. So I figured, well, what can it hurt to put the tablet in and see what kind of drop I can get off of that. So I
So
was more or less looking for the attitude change too, because they had been bumping me.
how many colonies did you put the tablets on?
What was that?
How many colonies did you put tablets in?
Oh, all 12 of my colonies got it.
Okay.
yeah, but they're on the bottom board.
Well, most of them were on the bottom board because of the design of the hive. And
Couldn't you
then
put a shim on that hive and put it up on top?
I could have, but I didn't have anything. I didn't make any shims, so I just went with it on the bottom board. The
Yeah.
nukes all got in the top of over the brood.
Well, I mean,
So
from what they tell me, and I guess you guys know that there is a little bit of thymol smell in there, so that might kind of run them. But it sounded like to me that hive is trying to abscond more so than anything else because of the mite load. It's
mm.
you got over 3% mite load in there or close to it. Seven, you say 7 or 8? Mite?
I think it was 7 of them in that shake, the last shake.
Yeah, you had at least 2% mite load out of a 300 bee shake.
Yeah, I use that half cup, which would be about 300 bees.
Was it a half cup? Yeah, I think it's I
Yeah.
was. Um, yeah, you need to try to get that mite load down, way down.
Well, that's sort of some of what I was trying to do, and I've been hitting them with OA. I've been doing 4 grams in that one box. Oh, off label. You know,
you know, 2.3%. I don't know. 2%. You better be thinking hard about treating. 3% for sure, and 1% should be okay.
well, it's not like I haven't been treating them. Trying to treat them, keep knock it down.
Yeah.
Um,
If you hit them every 4 or 5 days, you don't have to treat them more than Oh, four or five times.
Twice a week at least.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, Dan talked about his last 2-to-1 feeding today. Top deeps are full of stores. That's kind of like mine too, Dan. I had 40 gallons of usually that row of beehives right there will take 40 gallons by the time I fill everybody up. And hey, Ian, good to see you.
Hey,
And
Ed, how is your vaporizer working? I know you bought that new one.
It vaporizes well and quick, but its recovery time takes a little longer than I think it should. It's like take 10 minutes to recover
Oh,
after a
really?
treatment.
10 minutes.
Yeah,
It does.
it's what
That's
was
as
that?
bad as a wand.
Yeah, does it
Mhm.
shut off? Will it shut off before it drains your battery all the way down?
I had it drained it down to 1 bar and it didn't shut off.
It did. You got
No,
2 minutes, I guess. Then.
yeah, I
So,
got a cheap version, and
yeah, I
you
knew you.
know,
I saw your video on it. And I was anxious, I was glad you got it because I was hoping it would really be good because that's only a couple $100, right? I mean, that's something like
that's the whole reason I bought it because it was cheaper to see
yeah,
what it would do. And it does the job, but it takes a while, and it takes a little, 10 minute recovery time on the you know, for it to be able to
yeah,
do the vapor.
Hmm.
yeah. I definitely don't want to do that then. 'Cause you'd have to do like I do with the wands and buy 3 of them.
Yeah. It should be recovering within a minute and a half at the most.
Yeah, the wands only take about 2 minutes to start oxidizing or whatever, vaporizing.
But the caveat on that though too is it wasn't a fully charged battery when I started.
Mhm.
So I mean, like it just come off the charger to use it. I had been using it for a little bit and probably 1 bar down. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, Ian he's got those new Insta-vapes, 12-amp battery, 40, 50 colonies in a yard unless it's cold. Yeah, the cold does affect even car batteries and stuff like that and all. What's happening, Bob?
Not much. Just sitting back listening to y'all talk for a minute. Then I decided to hop in, but I'm not stirring no stuff up today. I've turned a new leaf. I said it on my stream last night. It's not. I'm done with that. So I'll answer questions, but I'm not gonna talk about.
The other chat that I get on, it's closer to home.
Mhm.
There was one guy was new, talked about the in the back chat. I said, "Yeah, we've been talking about that for 2 weeks." So,
Yeah.
but then I said, they got to talking about putting a banana in your hive, for potassium and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, "Well, you put some Apis biologic in there and be done with it." I mean, you guys are just, it's backyard beekeeping, and it's
Damn.
I've seen Time for Honey do that too. Put slices of banana in his hive.
well, the other chap was, I don't know, how would you say it? They want to do the best for the bees, the most natural way and all that. And they were talking about, oh, you're going to feed your bees sugar. You ought to leave some honey on there. Well, there are studies that state that sugar water is actually better for your bees because it doesn't have all the ash in it versus honey has ash in it and all this kind of stuff, that everybody comes out with. And
Yeah,
I just,
I'm with
you know,
DC on this one.
Downtown Dallas.
I'm with DC on this one. You ever seen a bee in a garbage can?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true
my-
organic.
that's kind of how I feel. I mean, about everything, right?
Yeah, Jim, that's another thing that they talked about is the bananas, the alarm pheromone thing, and all that stuff. And I don't know. I mean, that's what they were talking about. And so they
But if
and
we
you
didn't
tell
talk
them
about
about Apis biologics, they've never heard of it.
if we didn't
And
talk about this stuff, Charlie, what would we talk about all winter long?
yeah,
But it's something. I mean, I think with cost, it's relative, right? So just depends how you look at things.
what is that? Is there lights? I guess there are lights.
That's us
Uh,
up on the camera there.
Yeah, it looked like there were flying ships coming at me or something. I don't know what. But anyway, they were talking about all that different stuff, and I was trying to enlighten them a little bit, and they were still talking about hive beetles, and they could do this for hive beetles, all these natural things. I said, get some grubbax and put on the ground, be done with it. It's like, geez.
Well, I'll tell you what. Just replacing those bottom boards, that eliminated everything.
Yeah, in your situation, you really have a lot of hive beetles, and those bottom boards really did a huge.
Yeah, it's like having the whole bottom of the hive is a doggone beetle trap that you would stick in between the frames. So, I mean, will I see a couple hive beetles? Yeah, I'll see 2 or 3 in there, but not 200 or 300 like was in there before.
Right.
So then it's just a matter of time before they just get knocked down or fall off or something. So it's working pretty good on those. We got the bright lights in big cities.
Yeah, I'm ready to get out of here to the country.
So what do you got to do, Philip? Do you go around the city to go where you're going?
I'm going right through the middle of it.
Yeah, it's a heart right through 35. There goes right through the middle of it.
Well, I'm on the Woodall Rogers. It cuts from 35 over to 45.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'm about to go under the Clyde Warren Park. I'm going to show you guys the Perot Museum, but this truck got in our way. Thank you very much.
Cedar Rapids Trucking. That's out of Iowa.
Maybe he'll clear out of the way in time. There it is, right there. And I don't know if you guys can make that out. There's a dinosaur on this going down the stairs or whatever, or the escalator.
And what is that building?
It's the Ross Perot Museum.
Is he dead?
Dinosaur?
Oh yeah, he died about 5 years ago, I think.
Was that right?
I
liked him.
Yeah. He buys all of the awards for every Boy Scout in the Circuit Council. So it's probably at times it's been like 50,000 scouts. They don't have to buy any of their awards. So that's an endowment.
Well, anyway, that was it was interesting. It was right when I was kind of getting into the thing with them. I had to leave and come to my show. I said, I gotta go. I mean, they don't even know who. They don't even know nothing about Nabi. Put it to you that way. That's how far we do.
I did break ground today. I'm making strides as a person.
What's that? You're putting a new store in?
No,
I broke ground, put the foundation in.
Maybe I should have phrased that different. I'm making strides as a beekeeper. I did my first ever mite wash today.
Really? Cool.
First ever.
And what did you find? And what was this? One of these special hives or anything?
Yeah, it was the hive that everybody is looking at, and it's still high from my shake, but
how much was
video on 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5%.
How many mites did it drop at?
18 out of 390 something. 300.
Oh, you counted the bees.
I can't say I don't do it one way and then do it a different way. That would be hypocritical. I'm not going to do that, at least not intentionally.
Well, at least and now you gotta.
And actually, my wife assisted me, which was kind of nice. That she was sitting there. She had a box with the bees, and she's like spreading them apart so they dry out a little bit to make them easier to count. But but I know where it's at right now, right? So,
Hey, Philip, he wants to know how you have reception in that tunnel.
Yeah, I was surprised it didn't drop me out, but it's a pretty short tunnel. It's a park. There's a park on top of it. Pretty cool park up there.
It probably has Wi-Fi antennas if it's relatively new tunnel.
I don't think I would take it up though, because I'm not signed into it.
Look at Bob even made his bees their own casket.
Well, I'm going to give him a Viking funeral this weekend when the box gets burned. But and that
Ian wants to know, what are you concerned?
Am I concerned? Not as much as I was. I mean, here's the problem with doing this right now. This was more for my knowledge because I don't know what it was at the beginning. Right? So I don't know I don't know that progression. I didn't establish a baseline of where it was when I started. So is it high? Yeah. But like I said, I'm going to still oxalic acid them. I'm still going to do other things. I'm not just relying on
based on that drop you drew, though, they were more than 4.5% infestation in there, I believe.
Yeah, that can be the assumption. That can be the assumption, but without the data, the actual baseline to say that, then it's
but now you got a baseline. You can take that account, and if you can do that in so many weeks, and and count count the actual number of bees like you just did, then you can kind of see what your progression is with that hive. And that would be a hive that possibly might not make it because of the count, it might make it because if you see the drop going down progressively, and if it comes through, then hey, that's great,
Well, here's my thought on that colony. 3 weeks ago, it was a dead colony. There was no chance it was going to make it. 0.
Yeah, not like
today or 3 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they've got 5.5 frames of brood, right? So they have a fighting chance. So that's more where I'm at. I just never have done mite checks because my thought was all my hives have mites. I'm just going to treat them, right? Except I didn't treat that side on the left side of the road. I guess, I don't know. You know what side I'm talking about. The ones Nuke Road, the ones that are all over on the side lined up instead of the big ones by the house.
Yeah.
So, but it's not something that my thought was, I'm just going to treat them. It doesn't matter. And I was talking to Brad today, and he made a good point. He says, yeah, but how do you know if you're using, let's say, strips, right? Apivar strips, and people are complaining that maybe the Apivar strips aren't always working properly. How do you know those are working or not? Or if the tolerance, if they're building a tolerance to amitraz or something, the mites. So from that aspect, I was like, yep, that makes sense. Plus, it was just a fun one to figure out, where's it sitting now.
So, Bob, you have the screen on that one, right?
What's that?
You have the screen bottom on that colony, right?
I do, yep.
So you don't really have to do a wash. You can just do an OA and then come back 24 hours and count what drops.
Right.
So The OA is going to kill the pheretics, which is all you're getting in your wash anyway.
So the thing that it seemed to me on the video, and this was something, and you guys, you experts might know more about this than me, is that I don't know if you, let me pull the picture back up. So you see what that is, right? A bread tie.
Yep.
That's how small the mites were. They seemed smaller, like, than the ones that were in that original video where they were just floating around. And I don't know that much about mites. Do mites grow? Or
Yes, they do. There's adult mites and then there's juveniles.
So I'm sitting there wondering, well, do they is this something that where these are just coming out of combs? And I don't know. But
Could be.
Which at any rate, it seems like they're they definitely, from the overall view of the colony, they're doing much better than what they were 3 weeks ago, and that's undeniable. I mean, it's just they look tremendous.
Well, it's also the same hive that you said went from not because they were so much beetle pressure and mite pressure that she didn't lay anything. They were done. They were ready to roll. And now you've got, what is it, 3 or 4 frames of brood in there now?
It was like more like 5 to 6, like 5.5, 4.5, something like that. And just without counting them as I went through the video, But
all right, what's your plans on?
Well, we still got another 1 week on, at least 1 week on the tablet. It's still in there. And when I was in there doing the shake, I noticed that they're starting to backfill brood as they're hatching out for winter. So we'll see. I
got in the comments here on the side. It's Ian, you're saying definitely resistant to the strips as low as 20% efficiency, but are we saying that the new strips that they've come out with are more of a 99 effective this year?
It says the new strips seem to have worked.
Have worked. Okay. Okay. There it is down at the bottom. All right.
So I was thinking this, and you guys tell me what you think. I know what my opinion is, but
I think your mites are still high. Number one. Number two, we need to, if you're going to do other than other types of treatments, and I'm not sure what you're going to do, but I would blast them with OA about every 4 days or so, or 3 days, a couple times a week.
Even people who do formic and stuff like that recommend, if you've got a super high load, go ahead and knock them back with the OA and then let that other stuff take over.
Yeah, if you want a quick knockdown, OA is the way to go. I mean, I've used this year. I did Aprivar, Formic Pro, and then the next treatment will be OA.
Well, and it is cool enough now here to use the Formic. At least it has been over the last few days.
All right, and it's what? What's your temperatures in the 70s?
Yeah, in the 70s, and it's 60.
Yeah, you could drop.
Right?
You could drop if it's a 10. That's a 10 framer, right? You could put a satchel in there of two strips in there.
Aren't they just starting to build up their population again?
Yeah, they're just starting to build it up, which that was the worst part about it for me. I was sitting here, I'm like, man, this colony's finally starting to turn around. They're brooded up and everything, and here I am taking 400 of their newest soldiers and slaughtering them, in the shake.
Formic's going to shut her down. Put Formic in there, she's going to Formic or Aprigar is going to shut them down. So I wouldn't do it this time of year.
Now, Laura here, she's kind of done something like I did, only reverse. Formic Pro, oxalic acid, and then Aprivar, and she's got 0s and 1s.
On my main colonies over there, I used Aprivar in the spring, right? And then followed it up with OA, and then the honey flow. and then I put Apivar back in it. And then after
Now, is
I
that the
put
new stuff? Is that the new
no,
stuff?
it's the old strips. And then after that, I put the tablet on it. So right now I'm waiting on them to get through that. So, and then I'm going to start blasting them with oxalic. So, my thing is, I found some interesting information today, and for what it's worth, guys, if you want to read it, but it's by the EPA. If I can find what I did with the thing here, not that one. Here it is. So it's actually where there is an exemption on thymol from the requirement of a tolerance, which means really there's no limit to the amount of thymol that you can put in a colony, as far as, at least in the States. In the States, I can't speak for Canada. Obviously, there are different regulations, but it's a little bit of a read, but it talks about how any residual thymol that's left in honeycomb or comb honey isn't high enough to be greater than what's normally found in nature, like a lime, for instance. So it was really an interesting thing, and it's from 2006, and Vita Pharmacy, or Vita, Vita Limited, the people that do the Varroa treatment, filed the exemption. So thanks to them, there is an exemption on that. There's no limit, and it's a good explanation of thymol and the interaction in your colony, right? So it's I'll put it up. If Charlie I'll drop the link in there. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Make sure I got it copied. I'll paste it in the chat. Oh shoot, it's a long one, but it's a government thing, so there you go. There it is. If y'all want to read it, if you don't want to read it, that's fine too.
Let's see. Cajun wants to know main ingredient apricot. I believe it is, isn't it?
Yes, that is correct. And it's the main ingredient is 25% by weight, and it's also the main ingredient in the tablet and the main ingredient in Hive Alive. And is there any more? Apple Life Bar, that's the main ingredient there too, I think. And there's probably
that's pretty. I'll say probably April Life Var and Apricot, as far as the strength, I would say is pretty close to each other. I mean, I had some April Life Bar that was, a beekeeper was getting out of beekeeping in our club, and I said, what is this stuff smells? It was terrible. Of course, it was outdated and everything, but it was April Life Var is what it was. And all that.
I'm all mixed with alcohol in blocks. Doesn't the alcohol evaporate pretty quick? Is that the idea, off gassing?
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, it's just
as far as I know, Cajun is apricot or thymol is about the only thing that's in there. It's a gel. It's some kind of a gel. It's in there.
Yeah, I don't know all the ingredients. They probably wouldn't tell you all the ingredients if you asked them either. I mean, that's pretty much any company, right? They're not going to give you their secret sauce, because you'd go home and make it yourself and be like, I'm saving money. And they'll be like, yes, we're losing money. So it is, is what it is. But I just thought that was some good information. Hey, Todd.
Hey, gentlemen.
Hi, Todd.
What's happening, Philip? Hey, Ed, how are you?
I'm doing great.
And of course, Charlie.
Yeah.
Ed, first of all, I saw in the comments that you guys are getting some nice weather in Alabama. I bet it feels good.
A lot cooler. Just need to dry up a little bit so I can not get wet outside.
Yeah, it's been raining out here as well for the last couple days.
Yeah, we're having California weather, except we're not getting any rain.
I had that for, I think the last measurable rain, we've had little sprinkles here and there a couple times, but I think the last measurable rain was in May.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty dry.
You haven't had rain since May?
Yeah, I'll have to look, but I think that's what it was. Yeah. We've had sprinkles, but not, it doesn't even measure as a trace. So it's pretty dry. But we also had 22 inches of rain this year. So,
Oh, I had it
All at one time.
yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah. What it seemed like. Yes, DC, I live in a desert.
It's funny because you had a decent honey flow this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so did old Jeremy over there, and he lives in a desert as well.
Yeah, it was definitely a good year for honey around here with all that, with all that wetness coming down. But
It was unusually wet in the spring,
Hey, Lisa.
it was bad.
but it got dry. Yeah,
Yeah, it got real dry fast.
it's that El Nino. All the rain went north of us.
It's starting up again. It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain like heck again in well, I don't know, November to December. We're supposed to get the same amount.
So, yeah, as far as that, Bob, I would hit them with some OA, kind of knock them mite load down. I'll say about every 4 days, and kind of, I don't know, let's say you hit them 4 treatments of that, and then go back and do another mite test.
Well, on that specific hive, I'm trying to let the tablet run its thing, right? Let them finish it up and see what we're at. I mean, I on that colony, I can't say that how big of the drop was because I didn't establish a baseline when I started testing, right? So when I put it on there, you guys all know it wasn't a thing that I was thinking forward for. I wasn't expecting it. And then when all of those mites dropped, that's when the videos came out and everything blew up. But as far as the testing, I was always under the impression that I was going to treat all my hives regardless of what it washed, right? So it didn't matter. But I'm turning a new leaf. I'm trying to get better and do things a little differently. So it's but it is something that now I know where it sits, right? I can assume that it was much worse when I started, right? And had I not done anything, that they would have been out of there. And there's been an improvement, I'm sure, but I just don't know what that improvement is. So,
Well, like you say, go ahead and let the tablet stay in there, and then do a mite wash every so often, and it's so many weeks apart or whatever. Dan wants to know how much of the tablet have they eaten down over 3 weeks.
It's hard to estimate, but I'm going to say 2/3 probably is gone in there. And it's kind of one of those timing things, right? Had I put it in earlier, it probably would have been different, but I'm kind of in that crunch time to where I have to get weight on them for winter cold and everything else. So I have been having feed on them at the same time, which is not recommended on the label, right? And so, because you want them to consume that. And if they're feeding or there's a nectar flow, they're going to slow down on that. So, anyway, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I think it's
a single deep, right?
Yeah, single deep.
Yeah, Lisa, he washed them and counted the bees.
I counted them.
Is that my
Counted.
wash?
Huh?
Is that my wash there? Is that what that means?
Yeah, I washed them. I washed them with Dawn dish soap. But that Ceracell cup worked pretty well. You know, it's got the little half cup scoop in it and everything. Works pretty
Yeah.
good.
The one that doesn't leak?
The one that doesn't leak. Yeah, I just so I took off the frame. I saw the queen. I put that frame to the side. I found the next frame that had brood eggs and larvae on it, and shook them into a pro nuke, and then banged the pro nuke down and scooped the cup out and threw them in, and that's what we came up with. So, yeah, it took me a minute, but I got them all counted out. They're in a monster case there, and that's the mites that dropped out of him, and that's actually one of those 200 micron honey strainers. And to give you an idea, I had my glasses on that I used for queen rearing to find them, to make sure I was picking every mite out of there and not just some debris that might have resembled a dark speck or something. I made sure I was grabbing all of the mites out of there. So just trying to make it as accurate as possible in an imperfect world, trying to make it as perfect as possible, I guess. And that represented 4.53%. So again,
Hey, Alex.
you can't really determine anything by one reading. So you got to have multiple readings for comparison, and I didn't have that.
Well, like I say, you know, do another reading here, a couple more weeks, and see where the tablet is. Maybe it's all completely consumed by then, and maybe your mite load will drop 1%.
Any. Well, and that's what I was going to ask you guys. I've got a philosophy. So let's look at it this way. Let's say you go out today and you shake 10%, just for ease of numbers, 10%, and then you come back in I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you shake again. Or let's assume we're using Apivar, right? It's 6 weeks. So you shake 10% in the beginning, and then you come back after Apivar and you shake 10% again. What does that tell you? Is it effective? Would you say it's effective? I mean, in my eyes, it's, well, it didn't get more. They didn't grow. So it's obviously doing something, killing or keeping it at some kind of stasis in there, right? Where they're losing as many as they're gaining. So, I mean, what's you guys' perspective on something like that? None? Nobody's got an opinion?
I would say that you maintained. You know, it should have been dropped, but you maintained the mite load.
I would say it's working because it's not the mite load's not increased. So,
But I wouldn't say it would be as effective, though.
What's that?
I wouldn't say it hasn't that it's really effective, because you're not getting lower than what you started with.
Okay, what do you think, Philip?
Well, what I was saying is you can see mites dropping if it wasn't working at all. I mean, they say
Right.
some mites drop naturally, but I've never noticed that.
Okay,
So,
but so if they're dropping as fast as they're multiplying, and you end up with the same number that you started with, is that a win? Is that a lose? I mean, now.
well, it's it's a win because they're going to collapse without that. You have that many mites.
Right. Okay.
I say by that based. I think it would be interesting to see what happens when you do your first OA blast, because you're going to find out that it's you're either going to be kind of it's either going to kind of reinforce what you got in your wash, or it's going to be, blow your mind, I guess, with the numbers. But I don't know that I don't see how it can with when you had that big drop. I mean, I've had plenty of big drops this year, but after another couple of treatments, they got down into the, they went from the thousands to the 100 or so in like 2 treatments. That's
Right.
what the OA will do for you. It'll knock them way down. Now, obviously, there's some that are coming out of the cappings that you have to keep treating them to catch them, but that big blast from those first couple of treatments is what really gets them
Right.
knocked back. And I will bet you that the Happy tablet is, it can't kill them until they come out and feed on. It's not, doesn't it kill them with what's in the air, does it?
No, it's the way it's explained on the website is it's after the bees feed, right? They have to eat it, and then that's what affects the mite.
But the mite's getting it from the fat
From
bomb
the bee.
bee, right?
Right.
So yeah, that to me is a little bit of a concern. Is you have to wait for your bees to get bitten before you get before it kills the mite.
Now,
But, I mean, that's better than.
now what does an RNA mean treatment?
Rionucleic acid.
Huh?
Rionucleic acid, he said.
A strand of DNA.
Yeah, RNA and DNA. But so, I mean, that's the thing. So, and just bear with me. If you're using a supplement and it keeps your mites from not getting higher and you can treat it, to me, that's a victory either way. It's not growing, right?
Yeah.
So let's say in the spring you got them knocked down and you put a tablet on and it stops them from being able to proliferate.
Hey, Mike.
It is effective.
The way I understand that Varroa work is that they have to, when they come out of the cell, they have to feed on the adult bee to be able to mature and get the nutrients that they need to be able to go back into the
reproduce
into the cell. So, and that takes, I think, that's
Breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Philip.
Breaking up, Philip.
I understand what you're saying.
Sorry.
Hey, Mike, hear me?
Yeah, I'm looking. Getting out in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, anyway, the reason that way it works is because you catch a 4 to 5 day period when they're outside the cell. But the concerning thing about that new mite is it only stays out for 2 days. It doesn't stay out for 4 days.
Well, I learned.
I don't know if OA works on it anyway.
I've been reading a lot lately, and I learned today for the first time that the first egg that is laid in the cell is the male. There's one male, and then the additional up to 6 eggs are female. So that's
right,
pretty.
and they're the ones that go.
So here's the good thing about this conversation we've been having for the last, it seems like forever, 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, is that I think regardless of where you sit in the whole aspect of what is good, whatever, as far as the product, everybody here has learned something, whether it's from a reading or being consistent with your shakes or about testing or anything, right? I think everybody that's been watching has picked something up. So yeah, it looks like a train wreck when everybody's arguing, and I get that, but at the end of the day, it's caused all of us to read more about bees, to learn more about it, to study more about it, to do a mite wash that you've never done, or something like that. So I think it is, yep, you learned I got to 5-pound thing of Skittles here somewhere. Right here.
Yeah,
How many pounds of Skittles that is. But I mean, it's just it. So in the end, no matter what has happened, I think everybody has gained some knowledge over it, right? So that's a good thing.
but I want to see the studies on where we gain knowledge, Bob.
Well, I'll speak for myself. I know that I've gained some knowledge by researching and doing stuff.
Get those Skittles out. I want to see the studies.
That's his elementary
All
science.
right, enough of research in there. All right, what else can we talk about?
I don't know. It's your show, man. You got to have the topic.
Throw it out there. Spin the wheel.
All right, how about getting our bees ready for winter? If you, of course, Todd doesn't have a winter. I don't know, Todd. Do you?
Yeah.
Does your bees fly and brood throughout the whole winter season?
No, they stay in for a little bit, but our winter is like between Christmas and New Year's, and so
That's 2 weeks.
Yeah, right around there 2 weeks. It gets down to 25, which is -4°C, somewhere around there at the lowest. But last year was different. It snowed twice. Didn't stick on the ground very long, but the other problem in the wintertime, it's so foggy. They won't fly anyway because there's no sun. You can't see the sun, and it's just cold and drizzly. So they don't fly in that stuff. But
so do you see a brood? Do you see a reduction in brood ring in the winter?
Yeah, but not a stoppage in brood production. There's brood year round.
Yeah. Now Kyle here, I don't know where Kyle is, but well, my highs up in the winter in Maryland. If as far as open them up and tearing them apart and digging into them, no. Right now, I have got the top high feeders on. I've got all the fluid that I'm going to put on there, sugar water, and they've slowed down considerably. It'll take I'm looking probably the middle of next week by the time they take everything down. That's how slow they're doing. So to me, they're topped off. Two things is in my hives. I have some natural honey that is the majority of its natural honey that was in the fall around August. And then I topped everything off with sugar water with Apis biologic in it. So as far as getting into the hives, let's say January or something like that, no, I'm not going to open them up now. Let's say it's getting late February, close to March. March is our starvation month for us around here, maybe mid-February. If I can catch a day, we'll have days here. It could be 48, maybe 50 degrees. And, it's like the old saying is go in, look, and get the heck back out, check your frames for food stores. If you got for stores, then close it back up and go on home. But if you don't, you're going to put a shim. You're going to put a shim on, like my nukes. I'll put a shim on. I'll put a sugar brick on just for emergency feed. Or you could use fondant, something like that. You're not going to be able, or you can use the mountain camp method if you like that, which I don't particularly care for. That kind of thing. That's right. Yeah, you do live right around the corner. You got to stop by, Kyle. Breaking insulation, assuming make the propolis. Yes, I don't want to break the emergency. I don't want to break that seal right now at all. But just to look in, if it's a little bit on the cold side, but it's closer to February, yeah, I'm gonna take the lid off, pop the inner cover off, maybe check the top box where the feed's going to be. Another thing is for me is that you can see where the bees are at by not even taking anything out. Just kind of look down in there in between the seams of the frames. And the thing where around here, they'll talk about, Oh, if you see the bees up in the top where the vent hole is at the inner cover, you're almost out of feed. Well, that's not true at all. I've seen plenty of bees up there, especially when it's 48 degrees. They're loose. The cluster's not tight at that point in time. Good opportunity to put a OA in is what I do in the wintertime. And they're loose. They're walking around. They're finding more stores and stuff, but they're not out of stores like some people will tell you. So hey, Lynn, and so that's what I would do. Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow morning if you want to stop in, but it's supposed to rain. But
You
anyway,
you working tomorrow, Charlie?
yeah, I got to work from 8 to 12. My brother's out in Ohio picking up a camper that he bought, and so I'm here by myself tomorrow. And then after that, it's supposed to start raining, I think around 11ish o'clock, and then rain until Sunday morning or something of that nature. But, and all that, as far as getting into the hives, I don't need to. I'm just kind of waiting for the ones that hopefully will take down the sugar water, and then there'll be the ones that are still full after so many days. They're the ones that are completely full and they're not going to do anything. So that's where I presume I will take that feeder off and just dump whatever sugar water's in that feeder into a 5-gallon bucket and then redistribute it to other hives that have sucked down all their sugar water and try to get it all into the hives.
All right, guys. I'm gonna have to drop out. I gotta go take care of some stuff.
Okay, Ed.
I'll be listening.
All right, Ed. Have a
See you
good
later.
one.
Good.
Later.
I haven't fed yet.
You haven't fed you yet, or you haven't fed your bees yet?
My bees, yeah. Either one. Either one. So I don't know when that's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
I think I told you, Bob, but I think, well, I said I made a mistake by putting the ApiGuard on when I did, but I had to because of mite levels. I said that I think I left around 400 pounds of honey on there, but it's a lot more than that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's double that and more.
Right.
But at the same time, it wasn't there. It wasn't really there when I put the cards on to put the ApiGuard gel on. It was when the blue curl came out and just exploded, and within 2 weeks, those things were stuck.
That's medicated honey. There you go.
Yeah.
You need to charge extra for that, honey. It's got medicated.
It'll soothe the sore throat. But it'll stay on, and then I'll just whatever's left over, I'll break it down and put it into nukes next spring and go from there. But I have a problem. I don't have any more comb. I'm out of comb now. All the comb I had, I doubled up my singles, and now I have doubles, and they're full. So I'm gonna be busy next spring.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think everybody right now is kind of just ready for winter. I hate to say that. We all love beekeeping, but it's like you do it so much during the season and, getting ready for spring, then the honey flow, then extraction, then putting it away for winter. And then winter comes and it's like,
yeah, everybody needs a break.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I got to build 1,000 boxes and 10,000 frames. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, it starts over again. Like after a few minutes,
And so has anybody got any tips for Kyle here? He's got an ant problem and they're walking up the leg high or the hive's legs and stuff like that. I don't know. He had Vaseline.
I'll find something.
Chris, the bug man, says he uses like axle grease that you put on fifth wheel trailer, and he puts on some rubber gloves.
I've tried that. I've tried cinnamon is one thing I've heard. Also, coffee grounds if you're a coffee drinker.
So
Tried
here's
that.
one. Here's one I still use today, and it works great, except when it rains and floods them. Go on to eBay and you type in ant barrier in the search bar, and it's a beehive / pet food ant barrier. A set of 4 for $12.50. It works. You put used motor oil in that little reservoir, and then you
You
can
say
put
eBay?
eBay, yeah, and you put the things. I think each one can hold 300 pounds, but you can look at
What's the initials for it? The
Ant barrier.
it's
ant
just
barrier.
yeah, just type in ant barrier, and
You put
it's
that
gonna
around
pop up
your
first.
you put that around your legs of your hive stands, and then you
Or you put it underneath like a 4x4 square sheet of or whatever size piece of wood, and so then you have the ant barrier on top of the wood, and then you put your hive on top of that, or five.
Yeah, you showed this one other time. I
Yeah,
think it was.
they work. They really work. But and this guy's a beekeeper, but they've gotten so darn expensive because everything else has. But they really work. I don't know, I have over 100 of them. But I bought them. I think I bought them when they were like $4.50 for 4 of them. So it's definitely got expensive. But I bought them like 4 or 5 years ago, because the farm I'm on is an organic farm. They can't use anything for ants. So every ant in the world stops by. It seems.
they're just moving over. Hey,
Yeah. Oh,
free
they
rent
move
over
through.
here.
They're nomads. They move through.
Well, for me, I can kill the ants, and they'll just move like one spot over to
Mhm.
start building again. So
The only problem with these ant barriers is that you have to watch. If it gets real windy, you got to go out there and check it to make sure leaves didn't blow up against it, because then that creates a ladder for the ants to get up
Hey,
around
Kim.
the coil. But otherwise, they cannot get around it.
that's what Keith at Larimore said. Ants
Yeah.
around here will bridge across the water.
Yeah. Well, they don't like to use motor oil, so they won't be doing that with this. And it has to be used motor oil for some reason. Regular, brand new motor oil works, but not as well. I don't know. Maybe they have some ants that take one for the team and lay across it, and eventually make a bridge. I don't know. But used, they won't touch it. They won't get near it.
Maybe it's the carbon that's in there.
Yeah, might be.
Don't know. That's interesting. But it'd be my luck, like you said, it'd rain and flood, and it'd cause cancer in California.
Well, they're already made in California, so when you touch them, you have to watch it. You have to wear gloves. And by the way, in that center of that ant barrier, they used to have wood dowels that were, I think, at least inch thick wood dowels, but now he couldn't find the source anymore or something, so he makes an injection mold for plastic pegs that do this same thing. Supposedly they hold the same weight, but all of mine have wood dowels in them.
Russell says car oil develops acids.
Hmm.
Who knew? I didn't know. Good deal. Oops.
And I did use Tanglefoot, but there again, when the wind blows, it blows leaves and twigs and dirt, and Tanglefoot becomes useless after a while because it sticks. Everything sticks to it.
What about that? Does it catch any bees in there, Todd?
It will catch some, but those are the ones that are on the ground crawling. They'll crawl up into the oil. They're not the ones that fly into it. Those are the ones that are hopeless. If they're crawling on the ground, they're dead or soon to be dead.
Hey, Laura.
We need to get Charlie some Charles chips from back in the day in the tin can. Remember those, Charlie?
What?
Charles chips that came in the big tin.
No.
They didn't have those in Maryland. Charles chips.
Mm. That's potato chips. That's only in certain areas, and not all over the place that I know of.
I've got those. Uts. Let me see if I can find Charles chips for you. If I can find some, you'll have some coming. Oh, for Christmas. So, yeah, they do actually still sell them. I don't know if they were still built in the 70s. No, they have a website. They actually do. You can order them online. Here you go. Oh, they got potato sticks too, Charlie. Do you like potato sticks?
Yeah, they're all right. You see, Mike Berry Utz bought out Zaps. I've never heard of that.
Kyle says he's worried about the gases it puts off. It doesn't put off gas.
We keep hitting the button at the same time. Go ahead, Charlie.
Uh,
There you go. Charles chips. They come in a tin like that.
huh.
Now you'll have a whole row of them in your kitchen on top of your cabinets like decanters. Yeah, we used to get those when I was a kid. So anyway.
Never heard of them.
Well, you know, they probably cause cancer in California.
Probably.
I'll be back.
You're not supposed to leave your own stream.
I would say, Bob, it's now
See,
Sawmill Bob's Bee Farm.
You can't leave your show unattended with Bob. You know how that goes.
Let's hijack it, Bob. Let's go.
Just remove him from the
Block
stream.
him out. Lock him out and block him.
Remove him from the stream. Charlie, you've been hijacked.
Oh, man.
That's funny. Yeah, they're $32 for a tin of chips.
Well, see, now I don't feel too bad for ant barriers that are $12.50 and they last a long time.
These things they've got like several different flavors too. Yep, Charlie's getting a Christmas gift. Charles chips.
You know, somebody's talking about instant grits on ant hills, but I also heard, and I haven't tried it, cornstarch.
I've heard people try lemon peel or orange peels, lemon peels because of the citric acid in the ant pile.
But apparently the cornstarch they take back to the hive and they treat it as food, and when they eat it, it expands in their bellies and they explode.
Pops them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've got ants. I just ignore them. I mean, I don't get. I mean, it's not like overwhelming ants in there.
Is Lee correct?
What? What did he say?
Zap's
Chip actually says not for sale in California on every bag.
Well,
Zap's chips are good. They're very good.
Never heard of them. Even when I was in Missouri, I never heard of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, they are made by.
Here comes Charlie, I think.
So, see, the only beekeeping stream you can look at potato chips on. The Voodoo are pretty good. I like the Voodoo. Now, I don't care for they have one that's like a crab boil flavor that you'll see every once in a while. And
I like crab, but that doesn't sound good in chips.
well, I thought it would be good, but it's literally chips with like crab boil seasoning on it. And it just, to me, wasn't my favorite. That's all I'm saying. I don't want any, bad bad juju coming because I said something about potato chips now. But
I was in Missouri from 2005 to 2010. My dad's side of the family grew up in the Ozarks, so I have Ozark blood in me.
Ozark blood?
Yes, sir. And I can't tell you how many times I drove past Fort Leonard Wood. It's on 44 on the way to St. Louis. I had meetings up there all the time.
Well, hey Charlie, welcome back to the stream.
Well, so what's voodoo?
That's it's like I don't know, it's like a sweet, little bit tangy barbecue type of chip. It's pretty good. I like it.
See, Mike says they weren't there in Missouri in 2005, 2010. So I probably didn't see them.
I've never seen Charles chips either, Bob. You have my address too. I'm gonna have a list like 700 people wanting a thing of chips, right?
Put them on your website.
Yeah, start selling them. No. If I do that, it automatically is a downer for the company.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
You would be expelled.
Yeah, I know, right? It's
a permanent timeout on Charlie's chips.
Yeah. So what we should do is before we do that, we need to all buy stock in Charles chips, and then everybody buy a can of Charles chips. And then once we buy it and the market goes up, then we all dump it.
Did you see what Mark uses for mice?
Arm & Hammer baking soda and Jiffy cornbread with honey flavor mixed half and half to kill mice.
Wow.
I just use those Tomcat bait blocks. They love them things. And I love those things.
Where is Ben Schmidt from in Missouri?
Well, see, I grew up in Iowa.
My mouse problem was killed by I had a cat, so that was the end of that.
Did your cat like to bring the mice to you and here a gift for you and drop it?
It was usually on the back doorstep. When I walked out, I'd almost step on one every day.
So my dad was in the military, Brian. I was in Cedar Rapids. So I was born in Ohio, moved to Iowa, lived in Iowa, moved to Germany, from Germany to South Carolina. When my dad retired, we were here. And then I joined the military and came back here at the end, right? So I guess I'll be here till the end of time, at least the end of my time.
Well, Carl, he says he's got 2 hives. Well, he definitely can make 2 splits.
Mm-hmm.
That depending on how strong your hives are in the springtime.
And he's got the honey.
And that way they won't swarm on you and all that. You can make a lot. You can build up a nuke and then split it again.
Union. I think that's off of 44.
What's 5P mean?
5 points of a mile, maybe, or 5 miles.
Oh, he retyped 50 miles.
Yeah. Gotcha.
50 miles west of St. Louis, so maybe it's not on 44.
Kyle, you can get there.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, if you got swarm cells and stuff like that and some nuke boxes.
Cleveland.
Yep, Cleveland. Cleveland had, now I was a kid last time I was there, but they had, as I remember, one of the most amazing farmers markets there. Mm. And it was different than the farmers market here. Here, it seems like the farmers market is just a bunch of farmers that come out to like an old metal building that back up and they just have like tables with stuff on it. But there, they literally had like shops in there. It was still open when you walked through it, but they would have like the meat cutting guys, they would have everything right there, and it was like, nice. Well, this is pretty cool. And I still, that distinct smell of that farmer's market, I can still smell it in my mind today. So, but it was pretty good. The
Okay. Now I know where Union is.
and it's amazing. Like Iowa has a very diverse Ohio has a very diverse population as well, of like from a lot of Italians, Polish,
Hey, Larry.
Lots of different I guess little sub community type things,
Mhm.
and it's pretty neat. Yeah, the Amish, they have the Amish too.
Now, Brian from Flower Street, I had a guy come in today. He wants to buy one of them French Bulldog kennels. I showed it to him. He had a French Bulldog with him today.
Hmm.
Hopefully, you have them in stock. I wouldn't mind having one either. My sister-in-law has a French Bulldog.
I love my animals, but at this stage of my life, it's like
You like 50,000 of them.
I wish I didn't have. I mean, I hate to say that. I should say I wish I didn't have the responsibility to have to make sure they go out and everything all day at this point, right?
Yeah.
These were animals that we got when I still had children that could take the dogs out and walk them and let them out. And, now it's just another chore on the list to have to do. I mean, I love them, but it's, I can't just say, hey, I'm leaving this weekend without calling somebody and say, hey, can you come, make sure you come by and feed the dogs this weekend, or, something like that. So
I'm still on a pet holiday. I put my last German Shepherd down 4 years ago, and then I all of a sudden realized, well, no more kids here. No one's gonna watch the dog, feed the dog, walk the dog, and I'm at work all day. And I could go out of town now if I want. I don't have to put her in. I used to put her in a PetSmart hotel. So, or take her with me.
Intern. I know, I do. I do need an intern. Well, today was supposed to be my last day at my job until they renegotiated my contract for me. So I guess I've got 2 weeks left, and then I'm going to Mississippi. And then when I come back from Mississippi, I'll be on the new schedule.
What's that, Monday through Thursday?
No, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I know. But
did you go for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
No, and I understand what they're saying is that they've got to have somebody available all week long. Now, I could get a phone call and say, I can come out Wednesday, right? But I can't get a phone call on Wednesday and say, I can't be out till next Monday.
Oh.
Now that's the issue, right? Because you're probably going to lose sales in the meanwhile. So that's the plan right now. So we'll see. I told them it is a trial period, right? To see how it goes. I said, they don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
But, it's funny. Charlie was saying about the store. Where I work sits on one corner, and there's a street that goes like a main street. Then there's a side street that goes in between us. But right on the other side of that side street, there's a metal building that just says it's got for rent signs in the window, and it's got a lean-to on the back, and it's got a side garage door on it, and it's got a single glass door on the front. And I was this close from swinging that way into the parking lot to get the number off of the front door, but didn't do it yet. So maybe this weekend, if I'm out and about, that'll get done. But again, I'm moving from a job and making a job. It's something that you lock yourself into that way.
I don't know what the commercial real estate is over there, but it's starting to crumble over here because no one could pay these rents, and plus, people are working from home, and values are going way, way down. So maybe if you wait a bit, you could get a good deal. I don't know.
Yeah, the longer it stays empty, the more
The more desperate they get,
Right.
you know.
We need to get somebody in there now. And then the problem is after a year or two, they jack the rent way up on you, and you're like, oh, I got to move my whole operation now.
Well, thank God for contracts. You know, if they're desperate enough, they'll sign a long-term lease. You know, with contingencies, of course.
Yeah, Dan says you don't want that overhead, Bob. Online sales only, but it limits me, right? It does limit me a little bit because of my storage space here. Start with a shed. Just put a shed out there. We've talked about that too, haven't we, Todd?
Put a sea can out there, man.
I don't mind a sea can. It would be great for storage, but if you look at it from the road, I mean, I don't know if it could be any more eyesore than my apiary with lids and everything sitting around. But
well, if you could hide it somewhere, you know, I don't know.
And figure it out.
Well, yeah. Or if you get permission to get on that land behind you, plop it in there.
Or next to me would be great.
Or next to whatever that.
Well, it's funny because I've already got bees on his land and he knows it.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about it. So I think I'm going to keep putting bees over there until he says, whoa, this is too many bees over here.
Sweeten the deal with some honey. Give him a couple quarts here and there, you know.
Yeah, here's a couple quarts of honey for me using your land over there. Okay, you're not using it, you know.
Yeah, I'll bet you anything he wouldn't mind.
So, hey, if any of you guys are going to be in the Mississippi area around Biloxi on the 3rd and 4th, come on over and see me.
Oh, man, I was going to be there on the 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Inventory ties up your money really good, right?
Yeah,
you put out a chunk of money and it sits on the shelf until somebody gets it from you, right? And then guess what? Then you got to order more inventory because you sold it all. So you ties up your money again. Mike, it's going to be at, do I still have, let me make sure did I close it? I didn't think I closed it down.
Yeah, the honey company brings up a good point. You want to make sure the container is in the shade or whatever you're going to have. Otherwise, you could start baking stuff in there, you know. You turn it into Bob's Kitchen.
It's the Mississippi Beekeepers Association annual convention. It is at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College Hospitality Resort Management Center. Wow.
Throw the lake up there.
Talk about talk about making an efficient name that's easy to say.
Ooh, Larry says, yeah, shipping container, you don't have to pay taxes.
Let me see here. There it is. So it's November 3rd and 4th. And it's on 420 DeBise Road, Biloxi, Mississippi. And I guess they're going to have a honey show, a wax show, bunch of stuff. Let's see, annual convention. It'd be nice to see who's gonna be there and what they're going to talk about.
Dirt Rooster going to be there?
No, you know, he lives like close to there. But I don't know that that he's, well, I'm pretty sure he said he wasn't going to go because when I called him, but you know, it might change in the next 3 weeks. Don't know. Let's see. Of course, it's a private group on Facebook, so you have to answer a bunch of questions, and I don't have time to answer a bunch of questions right now because Charlie's being silent. This turned into a silent movie bee chat.
Nah, I just put some information in my phone.
We're gonna have to put a black and white filter on it, so we go back to old school and hold up signs of what's actually being said. Flashcards.
Hmm.
Give you a bowler hat and a cane so you can be the Charlie Chaplin beekeeping chat.
Mm.
Shed equals tax increase. Bees minus shed equals tax increase. I gotcha. All right. Shane says Charlie trimming and starting and selling spring nukes.
Timing.
Okay. Is the yeah, that's a good thing. So Charlie, you're gonna plan to sell some nukes in the spring, right? And I'm planning to sell
April.
nukes in the spring.
About, I would say somewhere around mid-April for me. That's when it gets warm enough. And
Todd, are you selling nukes in the spring, or are you just trying to grow?
I'm going to grow.
I try to
what are you going to try to do? 100 hives, Todd?
No, 150. I'll double up. And then, well, after almonds, that's assuming I can jump in on some contracts, which I'm not sure yet. I won't know for sure until end of December.
I'm pretty much going to have the same plan that I had this year. Grow and fill my boxes and then sell off some. And so I kind of work on, I don't know how to say this. So I have a finite number of boxes, right? I try to grow my colonies to that size. And then as I maybe get a dead out or something, or I sell a nuke or something, now I have a piece of equipment open again. And instead of every year buying hundreds and hundreds of boxes to keep expansion, I'm just kind of growing into them and then shrinking back down a little bit, then grow into them and then shrink back down again. So I'm kind of staying, where I'm at. Because I don't have tons of out yards and stuff like that, just grow to where I'm at, sell what I can, then shrink it back down if I can.
Yeah, Larry, do I do singles in the wintertime? As far as 10 frame, no. I have 3 mediums as my high production hives. But now, like my nukes, I do, you might call that a single because it's 5/5. It's just in a different configuration. And I do well with those types of nukes. A single and more in a vertical state than it is horizontally. So that's the only singles I really overwinter.
I do have options. If I don't get in on some almonds, I could split them all down, raise a bunch of queens. I could break them down into nukes. Some the doubles into singles and make some nukes out of that with those queens that are a year old, but make sure I say they're a year old, or I can put new queens in there. So I have options, but my main thing is almonds. But again, if that doesn't pull through this year, I'm probably just going to split down those doubles and make them singles, and then double them up again. I might do nukes next year, but I'm not really prepared to do nukes right now.
Yeah, I was looking at the comments here where Alex said about 30 hives. Now I don't know. I forget, he made 1,200 pounds of honey this year, and I don't think it was off of 30 hives. I think it was maybe half of that at the most, or maybe even less than that. And he does have a good flow up there where he's at, and he can make.
He's got one hell of a basswood tree.
He's got that magic basswood tree up there.
Yeah,
making tons of honey.
And 1,200 pounds off of 10 hives. All right, so that's over 100 pounds.
120 pound average.
120 pound average. And you figure All right. If let's say you do that with 30, that's 3 times that much. That's 3,600 pounds of honey. You can make a lot of creamed honey out of that, and you can make a lot of liquid honey too, and sell it. You just got to be able to sell it and all that. I mean, that's some pretty good. That's a pretty good chunk of change here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sent just by text the actual Mississippi State Beekeeping Conference information for the days, like the schedule. For people that were interested, Mike Berry was asking about it. So let's pop that up over here. And make it big so maybe people can see it. Looks like Friday the 3rd at 8 p.m. Registration opens, honey and wax show entries, silent auction items accepted. Then they're going to have a keynote speaker on varroa mite management, combining cultural and chemical techniques, including studies on amitraz resistance and bovatraz/tactic. If you're not familiar with that, certain outlaw treatment that Bob did earlier in the year that concerns that. Dynamics of viruses amongst mite populations in hygienic and non-hygienic bees. Basics and facts of honeybee nutrition. There's going to be something on tallow trees. Impacts of pesticides on honeybees. Let's see, Southern Crop Ecosystems Research Unit has a thing on an overview of research activity at the Southern Pollinator Health Center. Lunch, then potential alternative miticides for varroa control, screening, and development. Oh, that's going to be, I'm sorry for you, Dr. Nasir, already, before you even give the lecture. Ask me how I know. Southeast regional nutrition for bees and how management practices can have implications for bee health. A lot of doctors, doctor everywhere. Harvesting and processing honey. There's a break at 3:00, so you can visit vendors. Why do introduced queens keep disappearing and superseding? That sounds pretty good. Let's see. How pesticides and other stressors affect the health of honeybee digestive system. The effects of alkaloid, is it gelsamine, found in wild yellow jasmine on queen bees. Do what?
Think what Brian said.
Bob will be doing 2 talks, Beeconomics 101 and teaching statistics and probability with Candy. Exactly. The effects of alcohol. Okay, I already read it. Nectar producing plants of Mississippi. Door prize and announcement. Then day 2, it's the art of splitting colonies. Beekeeping products and their health effects. The effects of commercial plastic queen cell cups on queen success. Bees Without Borders, Canadian requirements for importing honeybees.
Excuse me, Bob. Who's the speaker for the queen cell size with plastic cups?
Dr. Esmail Amiri, Esmail Amiri.
Interesting.
Bees Without Borders, okay, Canadian requirements. Receiving, handling, and introduction into colonies, and that's a queen topic. Pollens of Mississippi. Unfortunate 2023 experience with clothidin. I don't know, I can't say the word, guys. Treated corn seed. And then the silent auction winners and final announcements and adjournment on 4:00 on Saturday afternoon. So looks like a lot of interesting topics, should be interesting. And look, poof, Charlie disappeared just like that.
Hey, if they have tacos for lunch, I'm in.
Well, if you come all the way to Mississippi, I'll buy you tacos for lunch.
Deal.
The great
there it goes again.
The great Cialdini Disappearing beekeeper. Da-da-da. Yeah, I'm not speaking. I was asked to go there, so obviously, see now that here goes Brian stirring the pot over there, just stirring the pot.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, but I think it'll be fun. It'll be something different for me. I'm actually going to be sitting in a booth, guys. So I'm going to have my swarm lure there, and there's going to be, some. I'll just say there'll be some bee supplement there, and things like that. So Charlie has the stealth skills of an unmarked queen.
I guess.
See what you need.
What
to
are
do.
you doing, Alex? You're hanging out in the chat. Why don't you come on in?
That's funny.
I am hungry though. I haven't eaten dinner yet.
But it would have sounded so much better. Alex comes in here and he's a pretty quiet guy, and he's sitting there. So when you guys, matter of fact, Charlie, I'm gonna go ahead and star that comment in the back room because it shows that Alex has a sense of humor and he's feeling more comfortable with us because he's starting to bob and weave and stick and move a little bit. So
bob and weave.
Yeah, so he's feeling a little bit better. But I see now when you said that, I heard it in your I heard it with the French accent, when I'm reading it.
What were we talking about with that accent a couple of weeks ago? What was that?
Yukon?
Yeah, the Yukon. Yeah.
The Yukon. Am I going to be live on? I could be. I could do a live from there. Assuming that there's power in the booth. I'm not paying for the booth, so I don't know what they have there, right? But I could just bring a phone charger and set it up and see how it's going. So, if you're in the area, come on by. It'll be fun.
I wish I could go to that.
Well, you could go to that.
No, I
You
could.
just choose not to go to that.
Yeah.
Just like the conference, the big conference.
It's quite a drive or quite an expense to fly there nowadays. Fly anywhere.
Well, just rent you a Tesla. In about 8 years, you could stop at enough charge ports to charge up and drive out to the conference.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, man. Or I could thumb it.
That's true.
I'd have to start a couple weeks ahead of time, but if I start,
go to a near truck stop and be like, "Hey, I'm going."
I'd have to see. Today's the 13th. I'd have to start here probably in another week.
You can make it.
Like
you just need to get to wherever Mark Miller's driving through.
Yeah, then have Mark pick me up. Yep.
Lee's going to stop by.
Yeah, come on over, Lee. Bring all of your stuff. We'll go live. All 800 cameras and 27 monitors.
You'd take up all the plugs in the building.
The lights would dim when you power it up.
Tim, he's going to stop by too.
That nuclear generator would kick in.
I do try to avoid the accent.
There you go. You can have a southern knobby. Get a southern knobby greet and meet.
It's already southern, right? It's the KFC, the Kentucky Fried Conference.
Yeah, but that's north. That's north. There's down in Mississippi here. Now you got Lee coming in. You got Gunline coming in.
You could call it the Sabi,
the
Southern Area Bee Expo. Sabi.
We could just do like, what was it when the Super Bowl said something like these stations and stuff that they couldn't use the name, so it was just the big game.
Big game, yeah.
The big game. You can go to the big show.
That's so stupid.
I thought it was Bob that had the accent. You know, I have one of those accents that when I go up north, they say, you sound like you're just from the South. And down here, they say, you're not from around here, are you?
You don't have any
kind of what I get.
you don't have any Southern accent.
I don't.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, I'm a transplant. It just depends. I say certain words like y'all and, you know, stuff like that that bring it out. And DC says we can just call it snobby.
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 Oh man.
Soda. Yep, up north is pop. Here everything's Coke.
I thought pop was more down south.
No. That's definitely a Midwestern North term. But it is a derivative of soda pop, right? It's just pop, you know. Of course, we got to do everything different down here. So we soda. Hey, let me get a soda or a Coke.
Out here, we call it by name: Coke, Sprite.
I'll tell you what,
beer, Pepsi.
Brad is rubbing off on the whole state of South Carolina. So I'm in the office today getting my windshield replaced in the truck, and the office lady there, she had gone to lunch while I was sitting there, and when she came back, she got on the phone, and I look over at her desk, and she's got a 20-ounce Fresca sitting right on her desk. So Brad, if you're listening and you have not yet contacted the Fresca people for a sponsorship, you need to reach out. Or the tank array, as you say, the tank array, because it's a Q. Illinois says pop, right? Everything is Coke around there. Yep. See?
That's like I was out in Indiana one time and was in this little store. You want a sack? You want a sack for that? I'm like, what?
Sack.
Well, oh, you mean a bag? Okay, you know.
Well, I mean, it is you got a point there because you could take a sack lunch or you could take a bag lunch, and we down here they say bag lunch. Where let me see. Lee lit up all the gadgets. You know what? If anything, all that gadgetry would get people looking at the booth, right? There would be people looking at the booth just for that. They would stop by, you know. Northern Ohio call it pop, yeah. Missouri says soda.
Missouri says soda.
We just say Coke or whatever around here.
And down here we say the two.
I think it's Coke or a soda. I think it is.
The two Utes, Your Honor. What is a Ute?
A Ute. Yeah. That was My Cousin Vinny. That was a good movie.
My Cousin Vinny. See, yeah, Charlie, you really need to watch more movies, man.
I watch Cousin Vinny.
We throw out so many to each other. Like when Brad's in here, I mean, there is so many little subtle movie references that are being said, and I don't think a lot of people catch them all the time. RC and a pack of nabs. Yep, nabs. You know what a nab is?
Mm-hmm.
You ever got like a cheese
Nabiscos?
And peanut butter cracker?
Nabiscos?
Yeah, the little. Yep, that's nabs. So it's just like the cheese and peanut butter crackers, or not cheese and peanut butter, but you know the crackers with peanut butter in between them.
The orange crackers,
or the orange cheesy crackers with cheese in them, or something like that.
You know, I knew a guy that threw salted peanuts. He drink down
put them in a Coke.
Bottle. No, Dr. Pepper. Had to be in Dr. Pepper, and then he'd throw salted peanuts in there.
They do it in Coca-Cola here. The salt,
they don't do it out here.
I think the salt takes down the fizz in the soda. Neckots.
What are those?
That's the little Neckot wafer cookies.
Oh,
Same thing, but it's in the same kind of pack and thing.
I like the Ritz myself.
See, there you go.
Those plain.
My mom always did that with Coke.
Hmm.
But you're west of Texas, and anything west of Texas is Dr. Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate that stuff.
I grew up on that when I was a kid.
You don't like Dr. Pepper? I bet you like Mr. Pibb, though.
Nah, I like Coke. Any more Diet Coke.
Oh, that's going to be controversial. Here's a controversy for everybody.
Oh, no. I know where you're going.
Mr. Pibb or Dr. Pepper? What's your preference? To me, they taste almost identical. But if you're in West Virginia, it's Mr. Pibb. Yep.
Really?
Mellow yellow. Oh, yeah.
Now that mellow yellow stuff, is that stuff that's like super high in caffeine?
Mellow yellow is awesome. I like mellow yellow.
Isn't that like an offshoot of Mountain Dew?
I think so.
Yeah, it's very similar, but sweeter.
Bob, did you ever have Jolt Cola?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh,
I know what it was. My cousin down in the Carolinas, it called Lemon Drop or something like that.
Sundrop.
Sundrop.
Sundrop is close to Fresca.
Is that right? It's like a
fruity tasting soda.
It's like they say the caffeine is something like outrageous in it or something.
Oh my God. I had one of those one time and I was lit up like a Christmas tree all day.
Have you tried Cheerwine?
Never heard of that.
Oh my God. The gift list keeps getting larger. And larger.
Yeah.
I could see me buying
Pure One. Isn't that fancy water?
Which one?
Bob's
Pure One. In that
water.
water?
Pure One?
Yeah. Is that what you said?
No. Cheerwine.
Cheerwine.
Oh.
I think Mr. Pibb, you will get kicked out of Texas. So let me see. Let me write down my list here. I got my paper from the Skittles example yesterday. I've got Cheerwine.
Oh, jeez.
Cheerwine.
I broke for green this time.
Cheerwine. Sundrop.
Hey, for those of us that were driving home from work last night, can you redo the experiment?
Hell no.
Stuffy used to work for Sundrop.
Excuse me, guys.
I think we should have people miss the experiment. I think they'd be interested to see it.
Well, good thing for the internet, it's saved from yesterday. They can go watch it.
I knew you were going to say that.
But so we got Charles Chips, Cheerwine, Sundrop. Everybody's tried moon pies, right? Moon pie is a thing everywhere.
DC's onto something. A&W,
yeah,
and Kraken, the best.
What about A&W or Barks?
A&W.
Have you tried Barks?
Oh yeah, I don't like it.
You don't like Barks?
And there's another one too. I can't remember the name of it.
There's a bunch of root beers,
but A&W is the one.
I like A&W. That's around here, but there are some root beers that are in glass bottles, kind of retro type of thing.
Well, like
Can't tell you what to call it.
This Blenheim ginger ale that Michael Buck's talking about, that's a local ginger ale here, and it's a man. It is kind of for me, it's spicy. I mean, it's like kind of hot when you drink it. It's that strong of ginger in it. And I'm a old Canada Dry or something like that ginger ale guy.
I never liked any of that.
And I usually only drink ginger ale with either Jack Daniels or when I'm sick, or Jack Daniels when I'm sick, or when I'm doing a live stream,
Yeah, I remember the last one.
Yep, DC said sarsaparilla. That's my wife. She just said that when she came in.
Ooh, sarsaparilla creamed honey. Interesting.
Could do some Skittle creamed honey. I could probably make a 5-gallon batch with those Skittles I've got.
Blue Skittle creamed honey.
Blue Skittle. Alex, when Mardi Gras comes around, we'll send you a box of moon pies.
See you later, Keith.
Larimore. Yeah. She's in a talking mood. What's that mean?
Mine is too. She's got this habit lately that when I'm live, she just wants to walk in and start talking. And I'm like, I'm on a show. What do you want?
Oh man.
Yep, banana moon pies. They have banana. They have chocolate. Some people don't care for them. Like I've seen videos on YouTube where they try them in other countries and they're like, no.
All this food talk and snack.
What about the double-decker moon pies, the real thick ones? Those are good. Okay, let's go back, throwback on gum. There's tea berry. And what's the blackjack? Have you tried? I know Charlie's tried both of those.
Never
What
heard
is
of
it? You say gum?
Like chewing gum. Tea berry.
Yeah, there's Wrigglers,
Blackjack.
Wrigley's.
And Wrigley's.
I think I tried that.
Wrigley's fruity. I always like the fruity, not the spearmint.
I like the fruit stripe back in the day.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then it got to the Bubblicious and Bubble Yum.
Bubblicious. Holy cow.
Throwbacks. See, we totally we just abandoned bees altogether, and now we're talking food products.
Yeah, let's get that. I'm hungry, so stop talking about food.
Tacos and taco
Yeah.
trucks.
Taco trucks, tacos. Ooh, tacos.
Fruit by the foot. Yeah, I remember those. I used to go to Sam's Club and buy the fruit roll-ups by like the mega case for the kids. And then you find fruit roll-up wrappers everywhere. we talked bees in the beginning. We've been on for 2 hours. Give us a break. The double bubble. Yep, sweet tart. See, Red Man. Wasn't it red? Is it Red Man?
It came in a pouch, but I can't remember what it's called.
Red. I don't think it was Red Man. Red Man's the chewing tobacco.
Red Man chewing tobacco came in a pouch too, but they made that gum in a pouch, in a big Red Man type pouch.
Big League Chew. I used to
Big
be able
League
to
Chew, that's what it was.
I
Yeah.
used to be able to put the whole pack in my jaw. I'd have a knot in there of that stuff. Oh, what's the name of that gum now? Now, see, now I'm Googling images on red. Is it red? It might be Red Man. Maybe I'm just crazy.
I cooked last night. Tonight I'm going to eat the leftovers, and I'm getting hungrier by the second now.
Well, I'm just waiting on Charlie to say when we're over here. It's his show. I'm just talking to fill space because Charlie's not talking.
Yeah, I know. It's
Hubba bubba. Oh.
anything else to talk about, guys?
Mm.
No.
Nope, not tonight. I'm good.
All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. It's been a short night, but I got to get up tomorrow morning anyway, so maybe it's all good for everything.
Oh, we've been 2 hours.
Huh?
We've been going for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, we usually go for 3. You know how that is.
Brian C says, let's go talk to our wives. We're going to have to go kiss and make up.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut her down.
All righty.
And here we go. We'll see
See ya.
y'all next Friday.
Have a good weekend.